It's really hard to call that life. Where I was emotionally, spiritually, even physically, was in just a really bad place. The only thing that was on my mind was, that day of scoring and hooking up, and that was it. The biggest addiction was heroin. But I counterbalanced that with methamphetamine at the same time, so smoking a lot of meth and shooting up a lot of heroin. But it was definitely the heroin that I had the strongest stronghold with and needed every day.
Yeah.
It was all negative, always taking me a step further than where I ever thought I would go, and that bar of morality that you have in your life just keeps dropping inch by inch. And then the people that I was pointing at, I'll never be them, like I was them or worse. Yeah, I hurt my family dearly. I used to, my sister had a child at a really young age, and I was a big part of his life. Then I watched him all the time. We hung out, I took him out places. We'd go down to the Seattle Center and see IMAX and stuff, have fun all the time. And then as I started going further into addiction, I basically exited out of his life. And my thing was that I thought I was only hurting myself, I thought what I was doing was just on me, and I didn't realize the impact that it was having on my family, my sister, my nephew, my mom, and my dad. And it got to the point where they, wanted to show tough love and kind of just pushed me away. I still had quite a good influence on my mom, though. Like when I needed money and stuff, I could call her and come up with some crazy story of what I needed money for, and she never really truly believed any of that. She always told me, she's not stupid. But out of just love, she would still help me out. How they tell you you're gonna die in the hospital is a little bit different. They say it's time to call your friends and your family and get them to come down here. So they were telling me that I wasn't gonna make it. My chances of survival, the doctor said, was in the teens. And so that tricuspid valve, they told me was damaged. And he said they never get better. So eventually, we're gonna have to do the full cut your chest open and replace that valve. And I thought, so I asked him, they never get better? And he's like, they never repair themselves, they never get better. So a few months after the surgery, they took my next heart scan and saw that valve that was only working at like 20% beforehand was now working at like 90%. The nurse that came in told me at the time, well, God's just not done with you. And that was God presenting himself in my life. I got out of the hospital. I got in trouble. I got busted for drug possession. And I got put in jail. And this is how cool God is, right? My cellmate was a youth pastor there on a DUI. So now I'm in jail studying scripture with this youth pastor. We're going through the book of Romans and stuff right in our cell. And like, man, God's really trying to break through. He's really trying to get to me, So when I got out of jail, something was a little different, and I still used a little bit here and there, but it wasn't that long until God called out to me again. You know, he sent somebody that just wouldn't give up. He pushed on somebody that knew that God could really do something in my life. God put it on Jeff Fowler's heart to call me. So one day he called, and it was a day that I could really use a cup of coffee, and I figured, why not? You know, let me just hear him out. So we talked for a few hours, and this guy has such a gentle soul about not being pushy about anything. And he invited me to New Heart Monday night. And even then, I still turned him down. I didn't go the first few times he invited me. But then I finally went, and I thought it was a little bit weird. Like, here's this worship stuff going on, and the food was great. You know, we used to have the buffet style food on Monday night, and that, and the groups were amazing with Pastor Mike and Sister Tina and Margie. And it allowed me to tell part of my testimony in one of those Monday nights, the first few Monday nights I went, and to see people get moved by my testimony was something completely different. And these are all people that were at a place in their life and have now changed, transitioned to a new lifestyle. And I just wondered, you know, like maybe there is redemption for me. Maybe there is something for me still. And so I went to Monday nights for like 3 months before I decided to enter into New Heart Place. It's not an easy decision to make, you know. It's a year and a half of your life or longer. But it was one of the best decisions of my life, if not the best. So I lived in a car with my girlfriend for a year. Eventually it came to the point where we didn't have a car anymore. And she moved back in with her folks, and I was, you know, destitute on the street pretty much. You know, I threw my hands up in the air, and it's just surrender, you know? Like, I obviously can't do anything to improve my situation in life. So, you know, God, what can you do? And doors started opening. Well, at first, it seemed to be a big hindrance, right? Like, I gave God control of my life. Trying to turn my life around and follow Him, and made that commitment. And then ending up with MS, it's like, God, what are you doing? You know, like, I just made this commitment to you, and what are you doing? But God has a way of instructing us and teaching us things, going through challenges and trials in our life. I really like the story of Jacob in Genesis, right, in the Bible. The story of Joseph in Genesis in the Bible. And all the things that he had to go through in his life to be the man that he needed to be, that God needed him to be. And this was just this thing in my life that I had to go through to be the person that God needs me to be the man of God that He wants me to be. And it's also made me real sensitive to other people's plight in their life, other people that have illnesses or stuff that they're going through. They know that, like, since I'm going through something similar, it just drops walls, you know, and they're able to talk to me so much easier. And it's funny because when it first started happening, it's like, this isn't really something I asked for. People are coming up to me and just bearing their heart to me out of nowhere. But they know that, like, this, me going through my thing helps understand what they're going through. So it's just like a extra small ministry that God was able to provide for me just because I'm going through it. Just never to give up. There's, prayer really does work. And it took a lot of people praying for me to bring me back to those Monday nights and into New Heart Place. None of this stuff is done on a whim. Everything's done prayerfully, And when you're praying for those prodigals and those people that loved ones to come back, it's working, it's doing something. You may not see it right now, but it's doing something. God can redeem anybody. There's more on the other side. God has a plan for everybody, and you just have to be receptive to hear his voice.